good to get off to a 3-0 start. And watching the video, there was a lot of positives. I thought our tempo was better. That's something that we've been stressing, and felt like we did a better job there. Really, like we said after the game, liked our balance. Close to 300 yards for rushing and passing. That was really good. Also, 15 explosive plays was a big positive. I think that was the most we've had since Syracuse 2016. So that was great to see the big plays that are back and really able to spread the ball around. I felt like we did a better job on third down than in our previous two games, and felt like we protected the quarterback in the pocket for the most part. And biggest negatives were the turnovers. Disappointed in that. Disappointed in a slow start first three series, and two of those first three series were ended because of turnovers. And something that we preach all the time is if we protect the ball, then we're hard to stop. And so I think that's part of that frustration of getting off to a slow start resulted from two of the turnovers. And then, the other biggest thing we've got to get corrected is just took too many plays to get in down there at the goal line. And there's several things from that that we can improve on, and even some different things schematically that we can do. But first quarter of our regular season is over, and so really it's all about getting ready for ACC play. That's to be a big challenge. I've been around here for a while. I know how difficult it is to go play at Georgia Tech in Atlanta, a place we have not won a lot. And so it'll be a good challenge for our guys. I know they have a new defensive coordinator, Nate Wood. He came over from App State. We played him in 2015 here. Very similar scheme schematically to Georgia Southern last week, where their coach, Scott Sloan, came from App State as well. They do return 3 of their 4 up front on defensive line. They got some new guys in the back end, but I think they're athletic. They move around really well. And, I know one thing statistically, they held Pitt to right about 335 yards, and Pitt only had 54 plays. And so that's one thing when you play Georgia Tech, you got to make your drives count because you may be limited with what they do on offense. But I know our guys will be excited starting ACC play. Getting ready for that. Our next goal is to win the division, and that starts here Saturday at Georgia Tech.
Jeff, the tight ends got into the game quite prevalent with 5 catches on Saturday. It seems that you're attacking the seam a little bit more with your wide receivers. Just something that you're seeing in Trevor and Kelly's play that's giving you more guys more confidence to attack that part of the field?
It definitely was great to be able to attack the middle of the field. I think last week it had more to do with the scheme that they were playing. Most people that play us have a safety in the middle of the field because they're trying to get extra run fitters around the box. And, they chose to play more of a split safety where they were playing cover 2 to the boundary and cover 4 to the field, and leaving some windows and pockets there. So it was good to be able to hit. I think the tight ends catching the ball did a good job, and quarterbacks did a good job finding those guys. And then obviously we hit some receivers over the middle as well. And just like you want to be balanced in run and pass, when you're throwing the ball, you want to be able to attack all the areas of the field. And really, it's kind of what are they going to give you? Whatever they give you, you need to be able to execute. And that may change game to game. That can change within the game. But that was definitely good to see.
Coach, Amari has looked great in the punt return game so far. We know how explosive Kendrick can be. Would you like to work DK into the punt return game at some point, or do you just keep riding Amari?
Yeah, I think DK is kind of where Amari was last year. Where Ray was kind of the guy, and Amari's kind of in the wings learning and figuring it all out. I think that's, I have no doubt that DK, if he continues to work on it, will be an excellent guy back there in punt return. He just hasn't got it. But, at the same time, you got to remember this is Amari's first year as the starting punt returner. So this early in the year, we're really wanting him to get as many reps, and he's done a good job so far with the opportunities that he's been given. But there's no doubt as the year goes on, we'd love to get DK some reps back there because he's dynamic with the ball in his hands as well.
You think the first team offensive line got the message?
Yeah, you know, I mean, I think we also got to remember that we rushed for over 300 yards. But, you know, as coaches, you want everything right. You know, we want to be our best. And just like other positions, I had, you know, sometimes it's more glaring when you're down there first and goal at the 2. There's a lot of eyes on those guys. But, yeah, there's no doubt. You know, I think the positive I took away from it was to see the second team offensive line go in there and drive us down the field. You know, that's been a big emphasis, something we've talked really to all of our offensive players is, hey, when we put you in there, if you're not a starter, you know, the standard doesn't change. And I think that was awesome to see those guys go down there. And I know our starters have a lot of pride. They'll come in and see the things that they need to get corrected. And I feel very confident in that group.
How do you kind of decide with the receiver rotation when you want to try to work guys in and try to get guys early playing time?
Yeah, that's a good question. Very fortunate that we have a lot of guys that can play. You know, number one, you know, these guys are evaluated in practice, how they practice, how they execute in practice. We chart everything: catches, drops, loaf, ball in jeopardy. You know, a lot of different things. So that has a lot to do with it. And then also it's just kind of the flow of the game. It was nice last week that we were able to get all those guys in early and get some experience. And I felt like for the most part we did have 2 drops, one with Trevion and one with DK. But for the most part, those guys were where they were supposed to be and made some plays. But it's an unselfish group. You know, one week it may be T. Higgins with the long play, and then the next week you come back and it's Justin Ross. And I think that just makes us better as an offense when it's not all just about one guy to cover. Now they have multiple guys that they have to kind of look out for. But I've been pleased with how unselfish that group has been and really gone out and hasn't been perfect by any stretch. But I feel like we're making good progress, and I think the explosive plays in the passing game is probably one of the biggest bright spots of the first 3 games.
You mentioned the explosive plays. What do you maybe attribute the early increase so far to those plays?
Yeah, I mean, I think it takes, just like last year when we weren't quite hitting them exactly like we wanted to. You know, I said it wasn't all about the quarterback, and it wasn't all about maybe that wide out. I mean, there's a lot of different pieces. Protection. I think the offensive line has done a good job, and the running backs. I mean, you look at on Justin Ross's touchdown. You know, Lynn J. Dixon had to go pick up that defensive end coming off the edge and got just enough of him to let Trevor be able to hold on the ball to deliver that throw. So I think it's the protection. They've done a good job with that. And then also quarterbacks delivering the ball. Both Kelly and Trevor have delivered the ball, put it where it needs to be. And then, you know, our guys have worked hard to get open. And then it's one thing to be open, but it's another thing to finish plays downfield when you get those opportunities. So I really give, you know, everybody, all 11 guys, just like in the running game. You know, it's not just the OL and tight end and running backs. You got to have the wideouts blocking on the perimeter, and that's kind of how we've looked at it. But I would say it's been an emphasis for us. You know, spring, fall camp, something that we wanted to get back to, and felt like so far we've done a good job with that.
Jeff,